Hello everybody, so welcome to the Fab Paris, the Fine Arts La Biennale fair here in the Grand Palais, where this year I'm exhibiting a few pieces here in the Young People's stand. I have a few gray hairs, but according to the Fab Commission, I'm still young. And so this year I have exhibited a monumental Armoire Bordelaise dating to about 1775. And this is a really interesting piece to see while it's still put together, because it turns out it's actually quite a lot of work to put one of the tallest Armoire Bordelaises in place. This one is 3 meters and 7 centimeters tall, which is superior in size to the one in the Bordeaux Museum, which is of a similar model. Okay, it's definitely another mood here to do a video when there's 600 people looking in at the piece. I'm usually doing this in the privacy of my own home. So this one is really distinguished from all other armoires of this variety, not only by the quality, the eccentricity of the motifs, but also by its size. So although the workshop is sort of lost to history, this is a recognizable model, and it's really interesting for me to be able to show it to you today. I love the bottom hunting motif because it adds a little bit of a warmth to it, and it makes me think that the other model that's just like this armoire, which is in the Bordeaux Museum, which is purely neoclassical, more angular, and a little bit crisper in its carvings, that piece would have been more for a city mansion within the urban center of Bordeaux. Whereas a piece like this, when you see that hunting trophy, and a slight rudeness in the execution of the sculpture relative to the other models that we know, you might think, well, this could be for a country chateau outside of Bordeaux. But part of the reason why the sculpture might not be as crisp as the other models is because this piece is playing off of its enormous size. It's 20% bigger than the biggest ones, essentially. And it's great for us to take a look at it because it's one of the most interesting and emblematic Bordelaise pieces that's really ever come out of private hands, and it's been photographed. You know, I don't want to toot my own horn too much, but I have all the books, and it's really, really interesting, and we've had quite a lot of traffic here at the fair. Nicole de Regnès, who wrote some very important books on furniture, the head of the French National Furniture Reserve, the Louvre conservator for furniture, came by, and everybody is really stunned to see this piece because in terms of port furniture, it's really, really outstanding. Now, some of the things you might notice right away which distinguish this from most armoire bordelaises is the upper cornice, which has these friezes, neoclassical friezes of eggs and dart, and then dental, and then lamb's tongues. Now, the upper posts are decorated with acanthus leaves. We find that motif in the middle at the top of the doors. And then, of course, the middle panels are sculpted with these absolutely wonderful passementeries, these drapes, which sort of accidentally go well with the decor that has been made for our exhibit. And possibly the lower skirt has been left Louis XV Rococo rather than neoclassical because it dialogues well with this. But in any case, this particular model is transitional between the Rococo and the neoclassical style. So it's rather rare. Regarding the transitional style, the subtle blending of curvilinear and rectilinear styles, it is really rather complete because even the side posts here are slightly curved, and I'll show in the B-roll that this is slightly curved as well, the false center panel here of the larger door. And then you have the typical escargot feet, which you see on all of these armoires, whether they're purely neoclassical or whether they're Louis XV, you'll see those types of feet. And then here on the side, there is an undulated side panel at the bottom. However, they continued the neoclassical fluting all the way around the side. That's quite nice. So the transitional style is a harmony of two opposite styles, curves and straight neoclassicism. So to blend those two styles successfully is rather difficult, and that's why this is an interesting piece to take a look at. It's also very eccentric in that there is sculpted lierre or ivy on the feet. There's also a small sculpted rope between the pied escargot, the snail-shaped feet. And if we take a look at the inside of this piece, we are going to notice that it conserves the original metalwork. And this is really a special moment in furniture history. It doesn't get enough attention, but even the lock is a work of art. Now, this was functional because it protected the silverware that you might have stored in here, while also being very decorative while the doors are open. Same on the other side with this crémone, which is equally decorative. And so there was a whole artistry in Bordeaux at the time, and the city of Bordeaux is still known for having beautiful metal door knockers on many of the grand city houses. And so we can see some of that memorable Bordelaise 18th century metalwork appearing here as well on these grandiose pieces of furniture. Now this one is a port piece, so it's in solid mahogany, but in addition to everything else that really distinguishes it from all other Bordelaise armoires we might find, such as the size and the beauty and the eccentricity of the motifs, as well as the overall neoclassicism, most of these are Rococo, it's the fact that the back panels are in mahogany as well. So that's a sign of added luxury and rarity, although it's also a bit of a weight problem because it's a very, very heavy piece. Now, the only place where you might find a secondary wood is actually in these original shelves. Part of this discussion of how this is a complete piece, it retains all of its original elements, such as these shelves with these interesting mahogany facades, although the secondary wood here has warped a little bit, that's typical. It's the shelf of drawers where if you remove one of these drawers, which is just beautifully 18th century, if we take a look at it, there's a rudimentary dovetail fixed in by a nail, pretty rough on the back. I haven't even had time to clean this piece. That's customary for these 18th century pieces where they wouldn't take the trouble to finish anything that was hidden because they had to do everything by hand. But inside you'll find a hidden lever which deploys this secret drawer that I also have not cleaned, and it is spring-loaded by an old recycled saw blade, once again in line with this 18th century mindset of using sort of unsightly things to solve problems if such things would not actually be a part of the decorative value of the piece. So that's why we see that I suppose they had a piece of an old saw, and that's what they used to make the spring. It's been fixed with kind of a modern screw, but there's an original nail that's left. But anyway, I wanted to give you guys a look at this piece because it's quite an event to put this together, and the next time it's going to be together is going to be inside somebody's house, and I'm not sure I'll be able to video it there. It's not the most polite thing to request. So I wanted to try to preserve this piece online because curatorially it's a very relevant piece in the history of Bordelaise furniture, in the history of port furniture. And the message is really to help people distinguish between all types of rustic and country furniture and these types of pieces which are in solid wood, but which are actually memories of a center of commerce and ideas at the time. It's important not to conflate the decorative arts of an important port like Bordeaux with some sort of clumsy, rustic piece of country furniture. People have been telling me all throughout the fair that their grandmother has a piece like this, and I say, yeah, mine too. She was arming warships in Bordeaux. You know, everyone that sees a two-doored armoire sort of conflates them all together, but the critical thing to do as a collector with pieces like this is to learn to look beyond the impressive size of all armoires into the details of true artistic value, which are only present in a select few. Now, I've had a few other comments about the finish. This piece is French polished, it's totally anachronistic, and there's Charles Horman behind us, who we're not going to film because I already bothered him earlier, but he's a great dealer in 18th century chairs, and he was involved on the good side of a famous scandal, so we like him. And he's very kind to me. So with that, I thank you all for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you at the next video.